Hey, Walter Sorrells back with another Knife Makers Friday 5. Today we're going to talk about pricing your knives. So let me go ahead and kind of start with the bummer part. The bummer part is there's just no formula here. There's not a simple plug and play kind of thing that you can say, oh, here's what my knife is worth, and then go out and charge that amount. Here's the reality. Price is a function of the market. In other words, your knife is worth exactly and precisely whatever somebody's willing to pay for it. If you spend an afternoon making a knife and some dude comes in and hands you a check for $50,000 for that knife is worth $50,000. If you labor away for months on end making a knife and nobody's willing to buy it at all, no matter how hard you worked on it, how good it is, that knife's worth $0. Kind of random, kind of not fair. Well, yeah, that's just the way it is. So does that mean the whole thing's unfair, that it's all just random? Well, not really. There is kind of a framework for understanding how the marketplace goes about valuing your work. And the first thing that the marketplace looks for is reputation. You know, do people know who you are? Have you been around for a long time? Do you answer your phone? Do you answer your email? Have you won awards? Do you exhibit at the Blade Show? Do you take care of your customers when they call with a problem about a knife? You know, all of this stuff plays into reputation. The fact is, all things being equal, the exact same knife will sell for more money if it's got one guy's name stuck on it than maybe your name. And the reason for that is that whoever that person is has put in the time, has put in the work, has done what's necessary to establish a reputation. And so when somebody goes out and they say, oh, there's Chris Reeves' name on a knife, you know, they know that guy has done the work and that what they're going to get is going to be, you know, reasonably worth the money that they paid for, because he's been at it for so long, he's been out there, he's established himself. What else matters? Well, you'll be heartened to know that quality does matter. You know, there's just no substitute for making good knives. Fit and finish, that's something that everybody can see right off the bat. They pick it up and they see it and it's right there. Unfortunately, a lot of the cosmetic things actually don't reflect the real, functional quality of a knife. Does it have a good heat treat? Is the steel, high quality? These are things that, a lot of times customers don't really recognize and don't necessarily value. But if you do a good job, over time, you'll get a reputation for making good knives. And so that's something that you can price into your knife. Design. Now, this is totally subjective. One man's meat's another man's poison. Some people like the looks of a particular knife. Some people hate it. But nevertheless, design matters. Guys who make cool, trendy looking knives have an advantage over guys whose knives look like they were, designed in 1936, or that just sort of are really functional but don't have an interesting look to them. Another thing that matters is fashion. And this is totally random. There's nothing fair about it. But if you happen to be making good tactical knives when tactical knives come into vogue, then you're going to be able to price that into the price of your knife, and it's to your advantage. Likewise, if you went all in on some particular fad, the fad passes, you may have to lower prices of your knives in order to compete in that marketplace. Okay, so that kind of gives us a general framework for looking at this, but nut cutting time comes. You got a website and you want to put a price on a knife. Where do you go to establish that price? Well, in the beginning, I believe that underpricing knives is the best strategy. Create value so that people buy a knife and they feel like, hey, I got a lot for my buck. Especially when you start, it's not your livelihood. You don't have to make a certain amount in order to pay the mortgage or whatever. So better to price a little low than a little high. Now, over time, you're going to want to push those prices up, and perceived value is a real thing. Is a Nighthawk Custom 1911 5 times better than a Glock? I'm here to tell you it's not. But is it worth 5 times as much? That's a different question. It's perceived value. And some people really want a Nighthawk custom and are willing to pay 5 times as much for it as they would for a Glock. They perceive that value. Same holds true with knives. As over time you're able to push up the perceived value of your knives, you want to raise your prices. Okay, so you still want some kind of answer, some way to do this. Again, like I said, there's just no formula for it, but what I'd recommend that you do is go out on the internet, look around. You know, there are a million sites out there selling knives now. Don't price your knives at the prices that, you know, the top guys in the field are pricing their knives. Even if your knife is absolutely as good as, you know, as a Chris Reeve knife, you don't have the reputation in the marketplace. You haven't proved yourself. So you're better off charging a little bit less. You're more likely to sell those knives than, you know, if you try and match prices of really well-known people. There's so many websites out there. You can look at a million of them, see all kinds of guys who are, you know, kind of starting out or in the same range as you, whatever range that might be. Look at their prices and, you know, kind of take it from there. That gives you a little peg or a benchmark. Try out some prices and see what happens. Don't be afraid to just try stuff, see what happens, and take it from there. You can put a price on the website. If it doesn't sell in 10 days, you know, knock that price down by another $5 or something. You know, if you go to a gun show, you put out a whole bunch of knives, nobody buys them, well, maybe that's a sign you ought to price them a little bit lower. See what the market says. The market will tell you what your knives are worth if you're willing to listen. So I hope this wasn't a frustrating exercise in that, you know, I wasn't able to give you some kind of exact formula for how to price your knives. But really, I think the main point here is just flexibility. Try stuff, throw spaghetti at the refrigerator door. If it sticks, that's great. If it falls off, try something else. Thanks for watching, guys. If you feel like you got something out of this video, don't forget to subscribe. Also, click on the link to Patreon for a great way to give back to the channel. Plus, check me out on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Links in the description. If you want something sharp and pointy, maybe a gift for yourself or one of the cooler people in your life, check out my Tactics Armory website and pick up one of our tactical or outdoor knives. And finally, if you want to learn to make hamones or Japanese swords, check out WalterSorrellsBlades.com, where you can find videos about how I make hamones, as well as forging, mounting, polishing, and fittings for Japanese swords. Thanks, and see you soon.